going rounds. Fist flying, no bounds. Podcast kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, spills, nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a special Sunday edition of the GRP. We're here on a Sunday because I wanted to try something different. I wanted to change things up a little bit. So I wanted to come in here on a Sunday and do a recap of the events that happened this past weekend, just to kind of have it be a little more fresh. Because when you wait until Thursday, everyone's already covered it. People are kind of moving on, which I always just tended to like ignore that. I'm just be like, you know what, my night is Thursday, and the only reason why I kind of picked Thursday was because I was doing another podcast, and that was just the best day to do it. But not doing that one anymore, so I have more time, and I have for a little bit. But I'm just now getting to this and deciding to go ahead and commit. I hope commit, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like this might be better. I don't have to have, my show doesn't have to be so long on a Thursday to try to cover everything. I maybe won't feel so obligated to pack so much in. I feel like by the time I'm at the hour 20 mark, I kind of tapered a little bit, and I'm kind of getting to my tail end. And then I feel like I don't give the events coming up a good enough kind of go through, and yeah, just maybe not so enthusiastic at that point. You talk for like an hour and a half with no breaks really, and you don't have anybody to talk while you're taking a sip of something and taking an extra second to gather thoughts. Gets a little taxing, and I've been doing it for over 2 years now, and I'm like, you know what, something clicked in my head, decided I wanted to change it up a little bit. So my plan is either Sunday or Monday. I'm a little loose right now on the day. I feel like Sunday would be better, but it's the weekend still. Things are still going down, and sometimes we have shit going on Sundays. So I don't know if Sunday's a great night yet, but as of right now, I'm going to do Sunday for the recap shows, and loosely maybe Monday, but we'll go back and forth and see. And then Thursday will be the normal show, but it'll mostly be a preview show. So it'll just be like previewing the upcoming events for the weekend, or just touching on any of the news around combat sports, anything like that. Maybe this will help me dive deeper into other things, since I can break it up, and maybe it on second thought, it kind of sounds like more work. But I'm not gonna pressure myself. I'm just gonna try it out and see what happens. Maybe I'll fall into a good flow and make things happen differently, and maybe this will be just the change up I need for all of it. But I'm playing around with different ideas, and I'm trying not to overwhelm myself with trying to change too much all at once. So this is just a first little step into seeing how I can change stuff up and just keep the show fresh. And I'm always trying to do something different to freshen it up, liven it up, and just change it up a little bit. It kind of needs it sometimes. I don't want to get stale and stagnant, and then all that good shit. So yeah, this is for step number one, is to do something like this. So I wanted to get through it, and then I have the fights fresh in my head. I don't have to feel like I'm trying to dig deep in my brain to remember stuff, because then I'm trying to remember what's coming up, what happened. It's a lot. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. I guess I like a challenge. So for now, this is what I'm going to do. Definitely going to have a drink still on a Sunday. And we're going to get to it. I want to make sure that I thank my sponsor real fast, Noctane Smelling Salts. Always got to thank them. Always got to take a quick whiff. I actually had this morning when I went and played some golf. I had a whole plan. It fell through. I got invited to play with some people. They know who they are. And it fell through. So I wound up just last minute going and playing. My buddy Bruce was able to jump in with me. So I almost killed him with the smelling salts. But yeah, I've already hit this once today. I'm going to do it one more time to be nice and alert here for this show. Oh. Woo. I feel like Bruce right now. I went too deep. Oh my gosh. All right. No, that was a good one. Woo. That felt great. All right. Now my eyes are watery, but that's normal. But that's because I use the most potent bottle. There's other lower potencies. You don't have to go all in right away. Try it out with the white cap. That's the lowest potency. Go check out their website. Hit that QR code. There's a link in the description as well. It's always a fun time. It's always good. And I feel way more awake now. And I'm not even kidding. Because that one hit hard. And that's okay. So Noctane Smelling Salts, appreciate you for always keeping me awake and alert. And just giving me that blast of adrenaline real quick that gets me going. So go check out the website. Hopefully my eyes will stop watering here in just a second. I know everyone's probably like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? I promise you, you want to try it out. It's worth it. So check it out. Thank you, Noctane. Appreciate it. And that's it. So that's what I wanted to cover real quick, just to make sure everyone knows what's going on. If you're here live, I appreciate you. And now you know. If you're listening later, you just got the news, so that's good. So be aware. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know and get reminded that I'm going live on Sundays / maybe Mondays. I don't know yet. And Thursdays like normal. All right. So let's just get into it because we got some stuff to talk about. What happened over the weekend, yesterday mostly. And we'll just start off with some boxing real fast. And, you know, I say it all the time. I don't go deep in boxing, but I'm trying to get a little better and I'm trying to follow a little more. And this was something that was not on my radar initially last week. That's why I didn't cover it for the Thursday show. But that's kind of why I want to do this, is to, you know, if I hear about an event afterward or something, sometimes I get lost in my own stuff, you know, with work and everything else going on. So sometimes I'm not fully aware. I don't think I have the bandwidth to be able to follow everything so closely, but I do want to, you know, pay a little more attention here and there to certain things, and boxing is one of them I've been paying attention to lately. And this was something that hit my radar last night, both, either way. And I was just reading about it a little bit, and I just wanted to talk about it for a second because it's a pretty dope story, actually. I mean, I don't know all the details. Like I said, I don't go deep in this stuff, but just a feel good kind of moment for, I'm sorry. My webpage here is, come on. Okay. Yeah. I got some pop-ups going and then it froze on me. Okay. So anyway, David Allen versus Johnny Fisher was a boxing match that happened yesterday. And I was kind of just taken aback by the little bit of a breakdown I heard from some, you know, that I read on a webpage or a tweet. I don't even remember. Something about David Allen, you know, being this it's kind of a wholesome win for him because I guess he was in a bad way for a long time. And he dug his way out of it, you know, kind of degenerate gambler and, you know, all kinds of other issues and stuff like that. And then he comes out and finally wins his first title in boxing. So that's just what I was reading up on it. So I was just kind of like, and then I'm seeing I saw some tweets about it last night, and I was just like, okay, I didn't even realize that there was, you know, this boxing going on or whatever. Hadn't really heard of these guys, so I just looked into it a little bit, and yeah, it just seemed like a cool little story. And I watched the highlights of the knockout, and you know, David Allen gets the KO over Johnny Fisher in the 5th round, basically down to the last second. I mean, it was down in the last second as you could be in the 5th round. And it was a pretty nice knockout. So I was just catching up on all this, and I was watching it, and I was just like, hey, I kind of want to, you know, just talk about it for a second because it seemed like a pretty cool story and pretty wholesome type stuff. And I it's just sometimes I want to cover something that's cool like that. So I'm sorry that I didn't this wasn't on my radar before, but you know, I don't follow every single boxing event that goes down. But for him to win his first title like this, it sounds like he came from some hard stuff that he went through in his life, and he was able to overcome all of it and wind up showing up here and winning his first boxing title. And yeah, I mean, the knockout was insane. He dropped the guy with 30 seconds left, I think, or maybe like 20 seconds left, and he got him nice and wobbled, and he dropped him. Fisher gets up, and he still looks a little wobbled, but he gets checked by the ref and stuff, and then he gets up fully in time, and you're just like, man, I don't know, this guy's gonna go out soon. And just the next flurry of punches that come from Allen, and he just knocks him out. With 5 seconds left, he starts punching, catches him in the body and then the head with a big left hook. You see that towel fly in, which is kind of like, I don't know, I guess maybe the corner thought, hey, if this is gonna keep going, we got to throw in the towel. Maybe they weren't aware of the time. I'm not exactly sure how that worked or why that happened, but it's funny that it got caught in this picture. But that's Fisher going down right there with Ellen looking over him, and the towel flying in the middle. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, it was a crazy knockout in the last seconds of the fifth round. So it was pretty interesting between the story, the highlights of the fight, watching him be happy with the title and all that. It was just a cool story, and I wanted to cover it quickly because it's combat sports, and that's a lot of what obviously I cover that. And I like to just touch on stuff like this. Like I said, it's a good story too. It's, a lot of times there's drama and rumors and bad stuff, arrests, and just stupid shit happening. So this was kind of a good one, and I liked it. So I'll probably look into this a little further. I didn't have that much time to look into it today, but definitely heard a lot about it on Twitter and stuff like that. So it was a cool thing to check out. And if you go look at the highlights, you can find them on Twitter and stuff. But yeah, that knockout was crazy, and it was fun to watch. So just wanted to touch on that real quick. And then we have a MMA fighter who participated in Misfits boxing. It's his second fight with Misfits, or his second boxing match, actually. I don't know that Darren Till fought for Misfits before, but this is his second professional boxing match, and he fought on Friday for Misfits boxing against Darren Stewart. And I guess Darren Stewart was a former MMA fighter as well. Looks like he was 16-10 in MMA, which I didn't know, and he's only 0-1 in boxing. But this one kind of slipped through the cracks for me too. I heard about it, but I guess I had the dates wrong. I didn't realize that Darren Till was fighting this weekend. So he looked pretty good, but Stewart gave him a damn good fight. I mean, it went all 8 rounds, but in the first round, Darren Till dropped Stewart right away. So it looked like it was going to kind of be a blowout, and it might end early, but it did not. It went all 8 rounds, and Till looked like he had it in the bag pretty much all the way through. He got tested a little bit in the middle, but then he came out at the end where people were thinking, okay, this is going to go to the judges' scorecards. We'll see which way it goes, because we had some good stuff coming from both of them. But in the end, Darren Till turned it up, and he got the knockdown at the end of the 8th round as well, which is probably what turned it around for him and just solidified the fact that he was going to be the winner in that fight. So, with both of them being former MMA fighters, and we know Till has been trying to mix himself into boxing a lot lately, trying to get those big fights. He called out Jake Paul. He's talked about possibly fighting Mike Perry. Mike Perry's been after trying to fight him, and a whole bunch of other things that are mixed in there. So Darren's just trying to make his way through. He didn't sound too keen on trying to come back to MMA at any point in time. So I'm not sure if that's ever going to be a thing for him. But we'll have to wait and see, because you never can say never. Even when they're retired, you're just like, he might come back. But Darren Till looking pretty good in this boxing match. I mean, I watched some of it as I could. I watched a lot of the highlights, and I mean, he doesn't look too bad when it comes down to it. That left hook and the left hand in general, everything he's throwing with his left hand just looked damn good. He's connecting, and he's got a little bit of power behind it. So he looked pretty damn good in this fight, actually. And with Stewart, I guess, I mean, he's 0-1 in boxing. So hey, Trent's in the chat. What's going on? Happy to have been able to see you today. Thank you for joining in. Tenant Trend, go follow her everywhere. She's a gamer and a streamer. She's trying to get her stuff together and get back on it because school's been in the way. So hopefully soon she'll get that going. So go follow her everywhere. Anyway, yeah, so this one was pretty good watching Till get that win, and we'll see what's up next for him, considering he's been trying to call out everybody. Now my nose is running from the smelling salts. Okay. But yeah, so Till gets that big win, and Misfits Boxing. Oh, he's trying to call out KSI too, because apparently they were supposed to have fought already, or he was trying to get that fight. KSI said maybe he would fight him and made it seem like he was, they were going to set it up, and then it didn't happen. After the fight, he was definitely out there calling out KSI. You know how all that goes. It's like influencer type boxing, but at the same time, there's some stuff that's interesting going on around in on those parts. Misfits has been having a lot of events, and every once in a while they get big names in there and makes you want to kind of check it out. So we'll see what comes up next for that and for Darren Till. But as for Friday night, he definitely got the win in a big way, and yeah, congrats to him. So, and then we'll move back into MMA here quickly with a fight announcement, because it was finally confirmed that Patchy Mix has signed with the UFC, and he's taken Chito Vera's spot, as Chito Vera got injured and was supposed to fight Mario Batista at UFC 316. Instead, Patchy Mix is now fighting Bautista, which, could be a damn good fight. Not a bad first fight for Patchy Mix coming into the UFC. He's out there claiming a lot of things, and we all know that he's pretty damn good in Bellator, and I can't believe that PFL let him go. But that's kind of what they've been doing. They haven't been really fighting to keep any of their big names. A lot of them that have gone away, they've just kind of let him go. So, and if they don't let him go right away, they let him go eventually. So Patchy Mix is actually was the champ in Bellator. Let's see, what weight class is he at? I don't even remember right now. I got too much in my head. Let me look. He is in... Why am I not seeing it? Where am I at? Come on. Oh my gosh. I can't find it. It's 135. Stupid. That's the last time he... Okay, so bantamweight. Yeah. All right. That makes sense, because that's where he's fighting. Okay, cool. So there we go. So he's fighting on the 316 card, June 7th. Marab versus Sugar Sean. So that should be a good fight there. We'll see what he gives the UFC for his first fight in, especially against someone like Bautista, who, looks pretty good. He's not like, his last fight was a split decision win over Jose Aldo, but he's gotten wins over Ricky Simone, Damon Blackshear, Brian Kelleher. He is on a 6-fight win streak, so that's a lot to come into the UFC having to go up against. But I guess Patchy Mix, if no one else is maybe one of the best guys to come in and do that, he's on a 8-fight win streak. Yeah, with all those fights being at one of those was grappling, so he's on a 7-fight win streak. And he's the former champ of Bellator. That he left that organization with the belt, so he's looking to come into the UFC, make a splash early, and make his way over into contendership to try to get that belt there as well. And he's also, I'm not sure if anybody knows this or remembers this, but he is the boyfriend of Tatiana Suarez. So those are a couple killers right there in a relationship together. The training must be insane. And yeah, so now they're both in the UFC. So we'll see what that holds for Patchy Mix, and he's fighting soon, because that's happening in a couple weeks, actually. June 7th. That is, in a few weeks, like 3 weeks or so. So that should be fun. Welcome to the UFC, Patchy Mix, and glad you got away from the bullshit and now you get to fight, because the PFL is not doing people any favors over there right now with the way that they're running things and the stuff that they're doing. So let's hope it gets better, because we need those more organizations for MMA, so that people have places to go. But as for now, we'll take all those good fighters in the UFC. Well, I say we, like if I'm part of it, but you know what I mean, because I follow it all the time. So I'm just it's one of those things. That's I'm happy to see him in the UFC, especially names like Patchy Mix and others that have moved over. So hopefully that brings good things and brings us great fights coming up. So that's it for some combat sports news. Let's move into the recap of UFC Vegas 106 with that Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales fight that happened last night. And it was a little bit early, actually. It was kind of crazy to know that it was over by like what the time it would usually be starting for the main card. But and that was an early start for the prelims. I think it started at 1 p.m. here in Arizona. So I was watching fights in the middle of the day. I'm like, all right, I'm good with this. But we had one fight that fell out in the main card, and that was supposed to have been the I believe it was supposed to have been the co-main, and that was Bellato versus Paul Craig. Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. This one's kind of funny, and I just don't understand it. It's a little bit weird because Bellato had I think within hours of the time he was supposed to fight, he dropped out of the card and they had to cancel the fight due to what undisclosed medical reasons is what they said. And then we find out a little bit later from Bellato himself. He says, I never thought that herpes would take me out of a fight. I'm sorry, all of you guys, but it's something that's out of our control. I'll have more news soon. What the fuck? I have questions. I have questions and I don't understand what the fuck. So first of all, I get it, okay? Unforeseen circumstances, you just don't know. But did he know beforehand? Is this something he had and he has a flare up? It's just miscommunication. But he, even in the foreign language that he, I mean, he's Brazilian, so it's probably Portuguese, right? I don't think there's another word for herpes, so he used that word in the initial. I don't know. This is crazy. I was like, how? Due to herpes. Okay, so maybe leave it undisclosed. I don't know. Is this something that's gonna continue? Too many questions. Too many questions that I can't answer. Too many questions to guess on. So what the fuck? That's all I gotta say. What the fuck? Bellato, why would you come out and say that? And I mean, I get it, because people might be like, oh, he's this, he's that, all the questions. Maybe he just doesn't care. I don't know. No shame in it or nothing. It just seems very fucking strange and weird, and nothing we've ever heard happen outright publicly in a fight in the UFC. So that I thought was funny, and I just had to put it out there because he put it out to the world. This is what he posted on his Instagram. It is what it is. You can go find it. Everyone was on it because they're like, herpes, what the fuck? Yeah, okay. So let's move. So that was scrapped for the night. We had 4 main card fights only. Due to that, I think, was it 4? Main card 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 fights. So that's strange for a card to only have 4 main card fights. But that's because it literally happened hours before, and they weren't gonna move it around. So we got less fights on the main card. Either way, this was a pretty fun night of fights. If you look at the way it went down, we had a decision to start the night, and then a bunch of finishes. I'm talking the entire prelim card were finishes, minus the first fight of the night, which wasn't that bad of a fight as well. And that was Tisha Pennington now, versus Luana Pinheiro. And I mean, it was an okay fight. I mean, it wasn't extremely boring. It went to decision, but these girls were throwing, and it's weird because Tisha Torres is tiny. That's why her nickname is a tiny tornado, and she's throwing punches and landing. on Pinheiro, but it didn't look like it was affecting Pinheiro much, honestly. So I was thinking at one point she's gonna explode on Tisha and just hit her with a barrage of punches or something, and it just didn't seem to come. So I guess it was doing enough damage to Pinheiro to, you know, stifle her enough and not give her what she needed to overcome everything that Pennington was throwing at her. So Tisha's she's fast because she's so small, and you know, you see her build. She's huge for the size she is. She's ripped up, and you would think some power would come behind that, but I think she's so small it's hard for her to generate that power. But with those muscles, I mean, it looks good. She's ripped up. She's in great shape, but I wish she had some power behind some of those punches. She was coming off a win to former champ Carla Esparza back in October of last year. Before that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak. So now this makes 2 in a row in the win column for her, both by unanimous decision. Every fight she wins is by unanimous decision, really, and it seems like she loses the ones that go to split, at least in the recent past. So not much going on here except for the fact that Pennington gets the win by unanimous decision, and that brings us into the streak of finishes that happened on the rest of the prelim card. And we'll start off with Hyun Sung Park, I always mess up, versus Carlos Hernandez. This was a first round finish for Park with the submission by rear naked choke, as you can see in that bottom picture. He got that body triangle tucked in quickly and got the choke put in and took out Carlos Hernandez 2 minutes and 26 seconds into the first round. So that was a quick finish for him, and a quick one for that second fight. That leaves Park still with an undefeated record. So I don't think this card fell under that undefeated curse I was talking about last week, with like 22 or 25 fighters this year have lost their undefeated record, which is a crazy stat because we're, you know, in the middle of May and that many fighters have lost an undefeated record. Goes to show how many events there are and how many fighters there are. But yeah, Park keeps his undefeated record with a win over Hernandez with that rear naked choke. And that brings us into another women's fight. And this one was crazy. Denise Gomez versus Elise Reed. I don't know what the fucking ref was thinking here, but Reed got fucking annihilated. Denise Gomez reminds me of a cross between Jessica Andrade in her prime and who was PFL. Kayla Harrison got beat by who did she lose her title to? I'm trying to remember her name because I haven't seen her fight in a minute. Versus, let's see, Larissa Pacheco. That's who it is. That's who she reminds me of. The way that she strikes, with the power, with the build. She kind of reminds me of Pacheco, with a cross between her and how Andrade was when she was the champ. Just beating people down. The power, it was insane. And the fact that Reed took that without going out cold, I don't know how, but she took some damage. There was like 3 or 4 straight punches to the right side of her face from Gomes, and I was like, what the fuck, how is she still standing? And then she finally gets to the ground and punishes her some more, and I'm like, when's the fight gonna stop? Like, when they're gonna stop it? Yeah, you gotta save this girl from herself, because Reed was so tough, taking those punches and not giving up. I couldn't believe that she lasted as long as she did. But 30 seconds into the second round, obviously wasn't that long, but when you're watching it, it looked like a lot. And you can see the damage on her face in these pictures. The left side of her face was just annihilated. I was fucking tripping out when I was watching this. I couldn't believe the punishment that got put down by Gomes against Reed. And Reed just looked like she didn't belong there. You ever seen that crazy, like, I shouldn't even say that, it's kind of fucked up, but there was that soccer mom that got her ass whooped in the cage, like within the first couple seconds in some like circus fight that happened probably in like Russia or something. But this lady looked like she didn't belong, never fought or threw a punch in her life, and she just walked in there and got her ass whooped. It's kind of what it looked like when Reed was getting beat down like this. Kind of disrespectful, and I apologize, but that's what it reminded me of. She didn't look like she belonged anywhere near the vicinity of Gomes. So that was impressive. That was an exciting win there, and an exciting TKO in the second round for that fight. Moving on, there was a lot of women's fights that happened this night. Next up, we have Luana Santos versus Tainara Lisboa. This one ended in the second round as well. This one went down to the wire of the second round, though, with 1 second left, 4 minutes and 59 seconds into the second round. Luana Santos gets the submission, and I mean, it was that close for Lisboa to get out of the round. But Santos makes history with the first women's finish by submission with an Americana in the UFC. So I mean, that's pretty impressive. She was excited. She was pretty happy for that. She looked pretty damn good in all two, the 2 rounds that she fought Lisboa in, and she wound up being able to get her to the ground and put her in a position to get that Americana and submit her in the second round with just a second left. So that was fun to watch and to learn that she, made history with that one. And yeah, we'll see where she goes with that. That puts her back in the win column after a loss to Casey O'Neill. Before that, she was on a 5-fight win streak. So we'll see if this starts a new long win streak for Luana Santos. Next up, we had Yadier Delvel. Man, I kept trying to figure out how to say his fucking name so that I didn't mess it up, and I heard it enough times, and I still can't remember exactly. I think it's Yadier Delvel or Veli versus Connor Matthews. Another submission win here. This one in the first round for Delvel, and he keeps his undefeated record as well as 8-0 coming into this one against Connor Matthews, and fights his way to that submission win in the first round to move up to 9-0 for Val, not sure. This was his UFC debut as well. So now he's 1-0 in the UFC. Came out the Contender Series with a unanimous decision win there, and now he's in the UFC with a big first round finish by submission, and we'll see what he has for us in the future in the UFC. Connor Matthews drops down to 7-4, and that puts him on a 3-fight losing streak. So that's tough. We'll see if the UFC keeps him around. I mean, all 3 of his fights he got finished in. 2 were TKOs, and 1 was a submission choke here by Delvel. So tough times for Connor Matthews. Let's see if he gets one more shot to try to turn it around, or if he gets cut, because we know how the UFC works, and a lot of times that's what happens when you're on a 3-fight losing streak, especially when you get finished in all 3 fights. Let's see how early he got finished in all those fights. This one was in the first round. So was the last one against Jose Delgado. And then Dennis Bazooka was in the third round. So he's 0-3. That's 0-3 in the UFC as well. He doesn't even have a win here. Not looking good for Connor Matthews. Probably time to go somewhere else and put together some wins. And I'm sure the UFC is probably going to have that happen, unfortunately for him. So good luck with that, Matthews, whether you leave or not. Yeah, it's tough. Hopefully you can turn it around. Let's move on to Jared Gordon versus Thiago Moises. This was a good one too. Jared Gordon looked damn good in this fight. As you can see by those big punches he's landing here. It's one of those pictures I like there on the top when you see that just perfectly timed picture that gets the face looking all deformed when it gets punched. It's nuts. But Jared Gordon looked damn good in this fight. Gets a first round finish, 3 minutes and 37 seconds into the first round. He gets a TKO win with that overhand right. Gets him to the ground and finishes him down there. that moves Jared Gordon to 9-6 in the UFC. He was coming off a loss to Nasrat Haqparast. It was a split decision loss back in June of last year. Now he's back in the win column, looking to string together some big wins. Yeah, I was just excited for Gordon. You know, he's had some bad luck in the past. You know, it looked like he pretty much won that fight against Paddy Pimblett, but he wound up losing by unanimous decision, which was even crazier. So, you know, he's the first one to make Paddy Pimblett look human and beatable, and yet he still didn't come out with the win there. So he had the no contest to King Green, and then he had a win over Marco Madsen, and then a loss to Nasrat Haqparast. So back in the win column for him after a couple canceled bouts. Finally makes it in there and beats Thiago Moises. That puts Thiago Moises down while he was coming off a win, so that's good. It's only one loss there. 8-7 in the UFC though, not a great record, but we'll see if he can turn it around, come back and string together some wins. Jared Gordon looking good in that fight though. I was happy with it. I was entertained. It was a good one. So last fight on the prelim, we had Gabe Green versus Mateus Camilo, and this one was also a finish by submission. I had a lot of submission wins in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 submission finishes in the prelims, and this one was in the second round. Gabe Green gets the win here over Camilo in the second round with that rear naked choke after he lands that big punch on him, gets him to the ground, and sinks in the choke. That puts Green at 3-3. He was on a 2-fight losing streak with that big loss to Brian Battle back in May of 23. Hadn't fought in a while, and then comes back in 25 and gets a big win over Camilo, who was, I think, making his debut. Yeah, that was his UFC debut. Let's see. No, I thought he was a Contender Series guy. He was not. So now he's 0-1 in the UFC. That's also his. Yeah, he's not aggressive. He's got 3 losses in by submission, 2 wins there by submission. So he's got to maybe fight some strikers and get a win in there, because it seems like he doesn't do well on the ground against guys that are pretty decent on the ground. This one was the last prelim of the night, and that leads us into the main card. So let's get to Melquizel Lopez. I saw Lopez somewhere else. Melquizel Costa versus Julian Erosa. And I was thinking Juicy J was gonna come in here and do some work, but Costa just was fast, man. He was stringing together a bunch of punches that were landing, and he was doing it quick. He was quick with it. I was surprised by some of the punches I saw him landing. Some of the openings he was making for himself, and just the quick punches that he was just continuously landing on Erosa. This was a hard-fought win for him, but still a win. I mean, Erosa didn't go down without a fight, and Erosa's just tough, man. He got wobbled a couple times, especially like that head kick on top there. He got wobbled a few times, but he held in there, made it to the end, and Costa gets the unanimous decision win though, to take him to that's his 4th win in a row. He's 5-2 in the UFC now, so that gives him a win over Julian Erosa and Christian Rodriguez and Andre Fili. So not too bad of a strength of schedule there, considering. So this was the second unanimous decision in a row for him. He had two submission wins before that, but yeah, 4-fight win streak for Costa. We'll see what he gets next. They got fight of the night. It was a fun one to watch. It went back and forth. I think Erosa getting wobbled like he did and taking as much damage as he did. I feel like that's what lost him that fight. But he held in there, and he's a tough motherfucker, man. I was like, I like watching Rosa fight, but yeah, he just couldn't get it done against Costa last night. So that was that. Next up was Nursultan Ruziboyev versus Dustin Stoltzfus, and it seemed like everyone was on the no, this was the one that Ruziboyev. Everyone was on Ruziboyev here, and they were right because he got the unanimous decision win. Yeah, he beat up Stoltzfus pretty good in this one. It looked like Stoltzfus had most of the damage getting out of this fight. This was the second win in a row for Ruziboyev. That gives him, man, he's got 20 wins by submission. Damn. That puts him at 4-1 in the UFC. His only loss being to Joaquin Buckley by unanimous decision back in May of last year. So yeah, this is his second win in a row. His last one was a win against Eric McConaughey. Yeah, this one, I was kind of in and out on this fight, only because I think I was getting ready to leave my house or something at this point. But I was in and out of this fight, but it just looked like Ruziboyev was, just putting in work, getting the best of Stoltzfus. Like I said, Stoltzfus looked like he took majority of the damage. Didn't see much on Ruziboyev. And as you can see in the first round, though, it looked like Stoltzfus had a chance because you see him wrap up that choke, but was not able to finish it. And after that, it was just Ruziboyev taking over. I'm trying to remember how early in the fight that was. I know it was the first round where he kind of had him in that submission attempt, but he wasn't able to lock it up. This webpage is just completely messing with me today. I know I say that all the time with this Tapology. I used to use SureDog all the time, but I liked a lot of the info that Tapology gives me more. It's easier to just click through quickly, but it likes to there's a lot of pop-ups, and those pop-ups just screw things up. If you have multiple pages open, it really messes with you. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I hear everybody using Tapology all the time, and I feel like it's one of those pages that gives you a lot of good information, but they're just riddled with pop-ups and ads. It's nuts. Anyway, let's move on to the co-main with Myron Santos versus Sadiq Youssef. This is what I meant. Sadiq Youssef seemed to be the favorite in this fight. Everyone was talking like this was definitely going to be his fight to win, but this also went to, so in the main card we had 3 unanimous decision wins for the first 3 fights, and then we get to the main event that had a finish finally. So it's crazy that the prelims were just all finishes, whether it be by submission or KO, TKO, except for the first fight. And then we get to the main card where it's just a bunch of decisions. But I feel like all these fights were pretty good. As you can see here, Santos landing that big elbow on Youssef, and it seemed like Santos was just getting in the right position to land what he could. He kept coming in with that elbow, landed a few of those pretty well. Youssef looked like he was stunned with that elbow, and then came back a little bit, but it was just somewhat of a back and forth kind of fight for a minute. But Santos got the win by unanimous decision, and that brings him to 16-1 overall and undefeated in the UFC, 3-0, with wins over now Sadiq Youssef, Francis Marshall, and Con Ofley. And this is his second win in a row by decision. His last one against Marshall was a split decision. So Youssef, being as popular as it seemed like he was to win this fight, he's on a 3-fight losing streak now, but with losses to Edson Barbosa and Diego Lopez. I think everyone was thinking he was gonna bounce back from those, big name opponents to get a win over Santos, but Santos had something different, and that's what he did. He got the win by unanimous decision, and that brings us to the main event. So this one I was definitely interested in because from the jump, I was like, man, I knew Michael Morales was bigger, but when you stand him again next to Gilbert Burns in that cage, holy shit, he looked gigantic. He looked even bigger than he did at the face-offs. I was tripping out. Maybe it's a change of hair. It made it so, not really, but his hair, I wasn't expecting the like pink hair, but he just looked so big in there. It was nuts, and I couldn't get over how much bigger he looked than Gilbert Burns. But Gilbert has the shorter hair too. Maybe that's what made him look so much smaller. Remember, he had the afro going for a little while. But man, first round finish for Michael Morales, and I feel like, here's the thing. Gilbert Burns has fought legends. He's fought just crazy opponents. And on his way up, when he was in contention, I mean, he's fought everybody. I think I had to win over this last week. Sean Brady, Jack Della, Bilal Muhammad, Jorge Masvidal, Neil Magny, Chimaev. He's fought everybody. So, and he was on a 3-fight losing streak. And that's the problem here, is that they feed him to the wolves. It's like that's the story of the UFC. That's what the UFC does, and I don't get it, because I mean, I haven't heard, it's not like we've heard things about Gilbert Burns like talking about retirement in a way that a lot of the other guys do, but when you got 3 losses in a row, you start to wonder when you're that age as well. I don't think he's that old, but he's definitely he's 38, so that's getting up there in age for MMA fighters, especially with all the wars he's been in, all the fights, like I said, all the big name opponents he's had. So I'm thinking, come on, man, this is your time to turn it around, especially against a youngster like Morales. But man, Morales is a beast. He's so big. He hits so fucking hard. You can tell just by the way the reaction that he gets when he lands a punch. And that size has a lot to do with it, obviously. But the thing is Gilbert Burns is a, he's one of those names that we all expect a lot from, especially with what he's done in the past. But I feel like Morales is hungry, he's young, and he's ready to start making a name in the UFC. And his jump off point is now saying that he's got this win over Gilbert Burns. The only problem is it didn't go very long, obviously. 3 minutes and 39 seconds into the first round. It's a first round finish for him. It was impressive what he did, but everyone's just going to talk about how Gilbert Burns was on a 3-fight losing streak. He was already looking old. He's getting old. He can't find a win. But he's going up against killers, and Michael Morales proved to be one of those guys. So is Michael Morales going to get is he going to get the props that he should for winning this fight? Or is it just going to be another one of those, he beat an older guy that's kind of washed up already. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, and no one cares that he fought the former champ and the new champ as part of those, 2 of those 3 losses on Gilbert Burns' record. So it's tough for Burns, but I also understand that, when you lose that many times and then you come to a guy like Morales who is undefeated and has 5 fights in the UFC, when you finally match up with him, everyone talks about how great Morales is, though. So it's like you're getting a beast of an opponent that's younger, faster, stronger, bigger, and you're coming off a 3-fight win streak. I can't get over that. Like, I don't know why they did him dirty like that, but they always try to make a name for the younger guys off the older guys who are on their way out. And it seems like that's Burns' thing now, is that, I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen now. This is his 4th loss in a row. And it's tough because he's been finished in those 4 fights. He was finished 2 out of the 4 times. Jack Della finished him with strikes. So did Michael Morales, and then he went to unanimous decision with Bilal and Sean Brady. So his last win by finish was in 2023 against Neil Magny with a submission in that one. So what's next for Gilbert Burns? What do you do now when you have 4 losses in a row? And what does the UFC do? I don't think the UFC is going to get rid of him. Obviously, we've had like Tony Ferguson with like 8 losses in a row, 9 losses in a row before they got rid of him. And he just didn't look great at all. Gilbert showed some signs of, being the Gilbert that we know in this fight, but not enough to make you feel comfortable with it. He got torn apart, and that's really all there is to it. And Morales isn't going to get a lot of the praise because it was quick and he didn't really get tested, so we didn't see him do a whole lot against a tough opponent like Gilbert Burns. Instead, it was just Gilbert Burns kind of breaking and being done, and that's it. But I think Morales deserves a lot of props for what he did and how he finished it and taking care of business like he did. And I feel like he's got a pretty promising future. Now he's 6-0 in the UFC and 17-0 overall, I think. Let me look at that again. 6-0, 18-0 now. Yeah, he was 17-0 coming in. I mean, 13 of those 17 wins are by KO TKO. I mean, that's just crazy. 1 win by submission, 4 wins by decision. Obviously, he's undefeated, so he doesn't have any losses in there. 72% of his wins being by KO TKO. He's got to fight another striker in that division that's going to be able to hang with him. He got 2 unanimous decision wins before his last 2 fights, and those were Max Griffin and Jake Matthews. And then he finished Neil Magny by ground and pound in the first round. Now he's finished Gilbert Burns. He got performance of the night bonuses in both those fights. So in the Contender Series, he got into the UFC by winning by unanimous decision there. Couple of finishes to start his career in the UFC, and then a couple decisions, and now back to the finishes. So I think he's got a good future ahead of him, and I just wonder who they're going to put up against him next and what they're going to do with Gilbert Burns. I don't want to see Gilbert Burns just get thrown away, but 4 losses in a row, regardless of who he's fighting, is tough to overcome, and that's a tough thing to prove to the UFC that something can change. They either need to feed him somebody who maybe has a mid-range, like, I don't want to say like a tune-up fight, but like a mid-range kind of record where he has somewhat of a chance. Maybe he gets a big win under his belt. I don't know. Am I asking too much here? Maybe he gets a big win under his belt and he turns things around a little bit for somewhat of a run, or at least a run of a string of wins that can make him go out and he'll decide to leave before he loses again. I don't know what to do with Gilbert Burns, but I think he's way too nice. I think he's a great fighter, and it's just hard to see one of these guys go down like that. So, but he can't seem to hang with the upper echelon of the weight class at the moment. I mean, he's lost to everybody that's either been champ, is champ, or is a contender in the past few years. So that's a tough one. But I'm excited for Morales. I was big on him coming into this. I felt like he's one of those guys that's just fun to watch. See him impose his will on people and use that power and that the size that he has, the way that he does. I'm just excited to see what's next for him. Unfortunately, he had to get through Gilbert Burns like he did. But that's the way this shit goes. That's the way this game is. And it's tough, especially when you get older. And that's why we talk about the guys that are older going up against these young lions that are just hungry. And what can you do? This is what happens. I just feel like sometimes the UFC makes it a point to do that. And I'm not sure they did that with Gilbert, but it's like, what did you think was going to happen here? Unless Gilbert just woke up out of nowhere. And yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough one. I hate to see Gilbert go out like that, but Morales put on a good show, so good on him. He gets the win. This was like just a picture of him walking away with Gilbert with his hands on his head, man. It's a tough picture, but it's a good one for Morales. It's a bad one for Burns. That's how that goes. So that's it. That wraps it up. That's kind of what I was thinking about doing, 45 minutes to an hour instead of a whole hour and a half. I talked a little more at the end about that, but I just wanted to try it out and see how it went. I don't mind it, like on a Sunday, break it up. We'll see how this week goes with doing the second show on Thursday. And this one was, I kind of put this all together last minute. So I was trying to remember everything, and like I'm finding ways to make things different and finding ways to make things easier on myself, to remember things and not stumble so much. That's part of my own criticism. So I got to get my brain right, and maybe breaking this up so I don't have so much to remember, and things like that will help out. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me if you checked it out. Come back on Thursday. I like having a second episode in a week. Oh, sweet. Thanks, Trent. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching all the way through too. But yeah, everybody else as well, thank you guys for joining in and checking it out. Hopefully Thursday will go well, and I'm gonna just keep making things better and trying to come up with new ways to do stuff, and keep it fresh and keep it entertaining. So thanks again for all the support. Appreciate you guys. Come back on Thursday, same time, same place. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you on Thursday. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.